It is college decision day on Belair, and as you can see, I'm rocking my East Carolina hoodie right here. This is where I went to school. This is where I got my degree in broadcast journalism slash communications. Shout out to the East Carolina Pirates, go Pirates. And that email that Carlton and Will's waiting for, that is something that I had to wait for as well. And it can be dreadful and scary and happy all at the same time. What's up, y'all? Welcome to Lawrence Reports to talk about my review of episodes 4 and 5 of Belair. Now, I gotta say this right here. Shout out to Belair. Yes, we got the iconic jump on it dance from back in the day. Jump on it, jump on it. Y'all know the dance right here, man. As you can see, we see Carlton doing this iconic dance right here, and his cousin Will had to come through and show some support as well to help him out on this dance right here. I love how they continue to take certain elements of the past and bring it towards the future on the show as well. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button as we talk about my review of Belair. Now, we all knew when it came to Geoffrey, when it came to the one and only Uncle Phil, that this whole cleaning the money deal was going to be bad. So bad. I hate all parties involved in this right here. And for the love of God, can we please put Aunt Viv on some bed rest? They got my girl completely stressed out on this episode of Belair. And a mirror came back, y'all. Let's talk about it. So like I said, oh, and Jazz. Let me say this right here. Shout out to that boy Jazz. That boy Jazz is knocking down a cougar. That joint had me dying with laughter. Jazz, you on another level, Playboy. You are on not you are on another level. Put it like that. Let's get right into it, y'all. Now, college decision day, very nerve-wracking. And Will, he's trying to get into USC. Carlton wants to get into Princeton, right? That's his dream school. He's been talking about this basically since he was a boy. Will wants to go to USC because of the basketball program. And he claims, as well because of business, right? Yeah, it's going to be a mixture for both of them because we know later on they're both going to be kind of torn with these decisions, right? But the way it's looking, Carlton will get into Princeton, but it's a little bit of controversy that comes with it, right? Because he ends up basically stealing, and it's kind of like his story as well. I kind of feel like it's his story as well, but that lady said he stole a mirror's whole flow for flow. He stole a mirror story. And Carlton kind of like confesses, like, yeah, I kind of took bits and pieces of it and added a little remix to it. So now he has to apologize to Amir. He's kind of caught up in that situation right there, right? And when it comes to Will, right? He wants to go USC, but the situation is it's not going to be easy because we know that the roster spot is going to be Phill, right? Because also ends up meeting one of the homies, right, from Philly, who he tried to connect with. We saw him go to that party, and he tried to get in good graces with that guy, hoping that the guy can put in a good word for him. He did put in a good word. It's just that the spot got filled up, unfortunately, and I hate that for Will. So now he's going to try to go to another school out there in the OC, like a little lower tier school, not such a big name, but he's gonna try his best to get on there. But the situation there, it's like the coach only wants a body, right? And Will saying, well, I want to talk about, the business aspect. I don't want to be just hooping. Like there's another layer to me as well when it comes to this right here. But the thing about, going off to school, both Will and Carlton are both feeling these societal pressures, right? Carlton's guy saying, yo, at Princeton, it's all about black excellence. And what you're doing for one black man, you open up the door for another black man. It's not gonna be easy, but it'd be well worth it, right? And on the flip side, when it comes to Will's like, well, I gotta get this full ride. I don't want to ask Uncle Phil. I could do this on my own. But I want them to realize that I'm more than just a body when it comes to basketball. They actually have a mind. I actually do want to get my college degree because you saw all those other guys were saying, oh, well, I flipped my major around 2 and 3 times. And, when it comes to being in school and playing for this team, right, only thing you really have time for is the gym, practice, and tape. And Will's like, well, it's more to me besides just being an athlete. But we'll see how that's going to go for Will because we saw both Carlton and Will both wrestling with these decisions. And the thing about it, speaking of Carlton and Will, they have to also go to this, I think it was called something about promises program or something like that, but they had Snoop there. right? And these guys, they had to get into the motion and do the right thing when it come to them trying to get a second chance because they fumbled the first time, right? We saw them, they ended up coming late and they fumbled that whole situation right there. However, thankfully, when it comes to Will, him and Carlton, they do have a second, third chance. Even though they was late coming from that party, Will can't resist competition. So him and old buddy was playing a couple games. I knew that Will was going to lose in that gummy bear game. Like that's a crazy game we even think about it in itself, right? So they do got a couple second chances. But let's talk about the women, of Will, right? Lisa and Jackie. Jackie is back into the fold now. Viv invites her over. She got accepted to Juilliard. Happy about that. Lisa's going to Howard swim team. Cool. But at the same time, Aunt Viv tries to help these ladies come together, realizing that they do have more in common than only Will, right? But the situation with the mothers is going to be what's going to hopefully turn these frenemies into potential friends, right? Because we saw the conversation that Jackie had with her mother, letting her know that she got accepted to school, things of that nature. Now, we got to talk about Uncle Phil. We got to talk about Uncle Phil and Geoffrey. We know that we have got to clean this money, and there's 5 businesses that we're trying to target, right? Unfortunately, one of the guys says no, right? And you know, um, Jeffrey claims, as long as he's on the job, nothing goes wrong, right? Like I got it covered. Feels like, okay, well, I'm going to hold you to your word. One of the guys backs out of it. He says, no, we're not going to sign the paper. Here comes Jazz, right? Horrible decision to bring Jazz into the fold because we know that he's short of some cash. We know how it is he's trying to, continue the legacy of his father, of his uncle's music record store, right? And we done meeting Pamela. Now Pamela is Viv's friend, right? She's going around talking about how you created such a great safe space when it comes to cannabis, things of that nature, right there. And he's talking about the money situation. It goes back to Phil and feels like, well, I can be an investor, I can help you out. And that's when things go down because Pamela is going to come on to Jazz, right? And they're gonna get it on. And it's so funny that, Will and Carlton, they peep game, right? Because Jazz even mentioned it, but he's like, well, I want to take you out to dinner. But she's like, no, Viv me find out. Will peep game that y'all may be smashing. I thought that was kind of hilarious because Carlton was like, yo, tell Uncle so and so hello. And then they put two and two together. Oh, y'all married? Oh, I get it now. But when it comes to Phil and Jeffrey, this is going to be bad because we even saw, on the other episode, episode 5, what the inflation came out, right? Pamela was talking about, but I saw, Phil in the business when it came to inflation, like some stuff had been on the rise. And she was like, I'm not gonna judge you. That's when I said, oh shoot. Oh shoot. And of course the police came to Jazz spot as well. Just like you've been in business with Philip Banks. I'm like, oh my God, they are about to get caught up. And now when it comes to Jeffrey, Jeffrey has a conversation with that lady. I forgot her name, but that was like they call each other brother and sister, whatever. I forgot her name. My bad, y'all. But she tells him that, you should come back and join us. It's never gonna be the same with the Banks family. It turns out maybe, just maybe, he was right. Because we saw Phil there spying on him, right? We saw Aunt Viv call him out because she was saying, I'm Googling, stuff about can my husband go to jail for fraud, stuff like that. And Jeff was starting to realize, maybe I need to go back to my old lifestyle. And he ends up having a conversation with her saying, well, maybe I should come back and join the fold. I'm like, dang, Jeffrey, how you gonna get caught up like this, bro? Like, come on, bro. You smart in this right here. Don't do this dance with the devil. Please don't do this right here. And I kind of feel bad for Aunt Viv. We saw her, wanting to have a sense of community along with her girls. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they come over, they get massages, and her best friend is so messy. Like her best friend's like, yo, you know, I miss, doing things like, drinking wine and smoking weed and eating oysters. But I know my girl Viv, she can't do that right now because she's pregnant. And if y'all notice, she puts her hand over her belly like, dang, like I can't do some old things that me and my girls used to do because I'm carrying a whole nother life. And even when she had a conversation with Erica, she met Erica. Erica's carrying her baby through IV. I'm like, oh my God, Erica's back in the fold now. But of course, we saw her and Erica kind of come together a little bit because I think Viv is, longing to, how do I say this right here? She wants to be with her girls, but also she wants to be with a pregnant group of ladies also that she can find common ground with, that she can find community with. But Aunt Viv is stressed out. Like she went off on Jeffrey, you know what I'm saying? Of course, we end up seeing her, she's trying to call Phil because it looks like baby Nikki is going to be on its way. We'd end up seeing, Jeffrey, I mean not Jeffrey, but we end up seeing Viv and Phil, they're cutting the cake in the next episode, and little baby Nikki is coming. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot right now for Aunt Viv. Like, get my girl on some better rest so she can just chill out and relax. It's a lot on her plate right now. I really did love how, when it comes to Viv and Phil, they realize that these kids, they've been in a bubble. Like, these kids don't know how to wash their own clothes. They probably, you know what I'm saying, they don't know nothing about a car or anything like that. And not Will, but Viv and Phil realize we got to get these kids outside from this bubble because they're about to go into the real world. So I'm glad they're finally coming to the realization about that. And of course, Phil, he has his old car that his dad gave him, kind of like passed down. And he tells Will and them, I want y'all to spend some time with me this weekend. We gotta get down to nitty gritty, boys, because I gotta prepare y'all for the real world. But unfortunately, them two, they end up breaking the mirror, right? They broke the mirror out there, and now Phil is completely pissed off. But the boys don't realize how important this car is to Phil because it was his dad, so he kind of like passed it on. And even Aunt Viv, when Aunt Viv tried to get these boys to do some work, and she had to try to have a conversation with them, guess what they was doing? They was focused on playing video games, so she had to step in front of the TV and cut it off. And he said, and I love what Uncle Phil said, I'm trying to get y'all to do something else besides screen time and scrolling 24/7. Talking about social media, how we, this generation's addicted to their cell phones. And I just saw that that was very good because they are about to go into the real world. They're not going to be in this bubble anymore. So, and of course, as the episode goes on, when it comes to people getting arrested, potentially it looks like Jazz has some conversations, with the police about the situation with Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil and Viv, of course, they're preparing for their baby as well. And that is how these episodes come together. Man, man, oh man, oh man. Of course, Viv is there, like I said before, you know, in the end, she's getting ready to have that baby. Baby Nikki's on the way. Man, these two episodes, I feel like they was such a thrill ride. It seemed like they were so like they was progressing so quick, y'all. So quick. But that's my thoughts on Belair. Uncle Phil, my guy, you're in trouble. Will, Carlton, they got these college decisions that they must make. You know what I'm saying? Geoffrey, is he gonna go back with his old crew? Belair. Great season. I'm loving it. I'm loving it so far, y'all. And as always, thank you for tuning in too. I can't talk right now. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Lawrence Report.